Hi, it's Mrs. Golding, and I am doing your Friday paper 13 questions. I am working on number 4. Find the quotient of 28 and 3400ths divided by 3 and 6/10. I have this decimal here, which needs to come this direction, right? We need to multiply both by a power of 10, so we still have an equivalent ratio. So now we're going to say 36 goes into 2 0 times. Okay, so this part is a little bit redundant. 36 goes into 28 0 times. And the purpose of that was just to bring it all over here. So 36 goes into 283. Well, 36 is really close to 40. And 40 goes into 280 7 times. 7 times 4 is 28. That's how I would think about that. So now let's work it out. 7 times 6 is 42. Carry a little 4. 7 times 3 is 21. Plus 4 is 25. 252. Let's subtract. 3 minus 2 is 1. 8 minus 5 is 3. I'm going to pop that up. 314. Now, 36 times 7 was 252. I'm pretty sure that I can probably get 8. 8 times 6 is 48. There's a 4. 8 times 3 is 24. 25, 26, 27, 28. 288. I'm going to subtract 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's a 6. That's a 10, which is 2. Okay. Feel like that's not right. 8, 9, 10, 11, 6. 10 minus 8 is 2. Yeah, that's good. So then we're going to add a box. Whenever we add a box in this method, we have to put a 0 in it. And then this pops up here. So we have 260. I can see that 36 times 7 was 252. We just worked that one out. It's pretty good. We're going to subtract 8. And we need one box here. I have to add a 0. We pop it up. 36 goes into 80. I think twice. 36 times 2 is 72 with 8 left over. Notice what's going to happen here. Pop this 8 up. Do you see how that's going to be the same thing? And it's going to repeat. So that's why we put the repeating symbol over our answer. So the answer to number 4 is 7.872 repeating. All right, let's move on here. The question here, this is number 5. So number 5, and the question says, find the slope of the line that passes through the following points. So we're going to use, rather than graphing this and counting, we're going to use what's called the slope formula. Okay, and the slope formula says y sub 2 minus y sub 1 divided by x sub 2 minus x sub 1 is equal to m, which is the slope. Another way of writing that that's a little easier is slope is equal to, and this is a triangle. And in mathematics and even chemistry, just a triangle means change. Change in y over change in x. And change means subtract. Okay, we want to find the change. We want to find the difference. So let's set this up. One thing that's nice here is these are my x values. These are my y values. We can actually assign them. This is x sub 1, x sub 2. It's just a way of naming them. Y sub 1 and y sub 2. So we're going to use that slope formula to set this up. Let's see what the change in y is. So I'm going to take that negative 3, which is right here, and I'm going to subtract the 4, which is the other y. And I'm going to put that over change in x. So this is this x minus this x. So 2 minus a negative 3. Okay, let's see what that equals. Negative 3 minus 4 is not a negative 1. It's a negative 7. And 2 minus a negative 3 is really 2 plus 3, right? And that's 5. 5. So the slope of the line that those 2 points make is negative 7/5. So on your line, for number 5, you're going to say m equals negative 7/5. Notice I have not done number 6 or number 8, so you're going to follow the same process for those 2 problems. This is number 7 on your Friday paper, and we're going to follow that same process, only I'm going to show you another trick. You can use color to keep things straight, color and even shapes. So these are my y values here and here, and I'm going to color or circle them with red. I'm going to choose another color, and you can just use shape or color. These are my x values. Okay, so slope is change in y over change in x. And change tells me I need to subtract. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start here, and I'm going to write. I always like to start, for me, I like to start here and subtract this one. Technically, you can go either direction. This is just what I find to be the easiest. But if you start here, you need to go here when you start with your x's to keep it all straight. Okay, so change in y, 6 minus a negative 1 divided by 3 minus a negative 5. Okay, so now let's go ahead and do this. That's the same as 6 plus 1, and that's the same as 3 plus 5. So m is equal to 7 divided by 8. And that's just another way of saying 7/8, right? So the answer for number 7 is 7/8. Okay, here we have number 9 on your Friday paper. So this is number 9. Now number 9, the question says determine if the following are linear or non-linear. If something is linear, that means it makes a line. In other words, if I were to put these points on a coordinate plane, would they make a line? And the points would be, for instance, this would be 3, 4. And this would be 5, 6. Do you see how those are ordered pairs? And I could graph those on a line. Well, one thing we can do when we want to know if something's linear is we can try to find the change in y over the change in x. That, as you know, change in y over change in x is my slope. If there's a constant slope, if we have a constant rate of change, constant rate of change, right? That's just another name for m, which is slope. Okay, let me show you what that means. So what is the difference between 3 and 5, other than the fact that they're different numbers? I'm going to add 2 to go from 3 to 5. Add 2 to get to 7. Add 2 to get to 9. Let's see, that's my change in x. So let's see what my change in y is. Add 2, add 2, add 2. The change in y is 2, and the change in x is 2. So I can graph these points on a line, these ordered pairs, I should say. I can graph these ordered pairs on a line, and my slope would be 1. Now, because there's a constant rate of change on my line for number 9, I'm going to say these points would be, I guess these are really ordered pairs. These ordered pairs are linear. So that needs to go on my line. The answer for number 9. Okay, we're going to number 12. And that is right here. We have 12a and we have 12b. Now these problems are back into our monomials. Just a review to keep that fresh in your brain. When we have these monomials and we're multiplying them, and I have x to the a times x to the b, remember, we just add those exponents, a and b, okay? The first thing we have to do, though, is look and see if we have any coefficients. If we have coefficients, we have to go ahead and multiply those, because this is really a multiplication problem. So 3 times negative 4 is negative 12, times 2 is negative 24. So that's going to be my leading coefficient. That's what it's called when it's right in the front, your leading coefficient. And so now I have g. And I'm going to take the exponents that are with the g and I'm going to add them. 4 plus 7 is 11. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Plus 1 is 12. So I have negative 24 g to the 12th power. And that's my answer for number 12a. Now 12b is a little bit different. 12b, the rule for this exponent is when I have I have a base raised to an exponent, and that is raised to another exponent. It's the power rule, and that tells me that I have to just multiply a times b. So here we look first if there's a coefficient, and there is a coefficient. So I have to do to that coefficient what this problem is really asking me. And by the way, I should rewrite this. When I typed it out, it didn't work very well. That 5 should be an exponent. So don't be confused by that. So I'm going to take that 8 and I'm going to raise it to the 3rd power. So that means 8 times 8 times 8. Well, I know 8 times 8 is 64. And now I just need to figure out 64 times 8. Let's see, 48, 49, 50, 51. 512 w to the 5 times 3. I'm going to multiply, that's the a and the b, 15. Okay, so 512 w raised to the 15th power. And that's going to be my answer for 12b. Okay, we're moving on to number 13. Number 13 and number 15 say, write an equation in slope-intercept form from the given slope and y-intercept. Slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. Okay, as a reminder, in this form, this is called the y-intercept. Now, it's not an intersect. It's an intercept like an interception in football. Okay? It's where the line crosses the y-axis. The sign in front of that can be a positive or a negative depending on where it crosses on that y-axis. So sometimes we like to say plus or minus b. That's probably a little more accurate. Now the m in this form is my slope. That's what we've been talking about. That's the steepness of a line. Remember, a line can have a positive slope. Let's draw it down here. Slope, dude. A line can have a positive slope if it goes up from right to left. From right to left, if it goes down, it's a negative slope. If the line goes straight up and down, that line, the slope is called undefined. That's why I put that U. If a line goes straight across, that is a slope of 0. That's my slope dude. Sometimes slope dude looks worried, and if you do his eyes the other way, he looks very angry. But I like worried better than angry. Sometimes. All right. In slope-intercept form, the y and the x are simply the ordered pair that you're talking about on that line. So let's go ahead and take these this information that we're given, and we're going to write this using the slope and the y-intercept. We're going to plug them in or substitute them in for the values in this. So y is going to just be y equals -3, x stays the same, and that's a positive 4, so I'm going to put plus 4. So this is the answer to number 13. For number 15, we're going to do the same thing. Y is the same. M is 2/3. X is the same. Now, normally I would say plus or minus the number. Plus, but this is a 0. And we don't actually need to say plus 0, right? Because anything plus 0, the identity property says any number plus 0 is itself. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to erase this. Okay, so the answer to 15 is y equals 2/3 x. I think we have one final problem to do, and that's number 16. It says write an equation in slope-intercept form. I'm going to go ahead and write that. Y equals mx plus b, and it can be, I should use this, sometimes this helps us, plus or minus. Okay, that's depending on where it crosses the y-axis. Write an equation in slope-intercept form from the graph below. All right. First thing I like to do is look for where this line crosses the y-axis. The y-axis is this one that goes up and down. Okay, that's a vertical line. And I can see from my slope, if you remember slope dude, let's make him here. If the line goes up from right to left, it's a positive slope. Down, negative. Straight up and down is undefined. And straight across or horizontal is 0. So this line that we have is going to have a negative slope. Okay, see how it goes down from left to right? So now we just have to determine what that slope is. So we have defined the y-intercept, which is the b equals 4. Positive 4, because it crosses the y-axis at a positive 4. Now, let's see. It looks to me like it's crossing this here. It's crossing the x-axis, but it's at a really nice junction. It's also nice right here, and what I mean is it's crossing at an integer. This is 6, this is -4. If I were to graph that, if I were to write the ordered pair, this would be 6, -4. This would be 3, 0, and this would be 0, 4. Now, when we look at the slope of this line, there's a lot of ways we could talk about it. Change in y over change in x. Let's try it this way. So let's go ahead and define my x's, okay, and my y's. All right. Now, to find change, we subtract. So I'm going to start with this point and this point, that ordered pair. So for this, I'm going to take my y, -4, minus 0, put that over 6, and I'm getting that right here. This is my 6. 6 minus 3. Okay, what do we have? -4 minus 0 is -4. 6 minus 3 is 3. I have -4/3. Let's see if that's the same from this point to this point. Okay, so let's go ahead and find that change. So that would be 0 minus 4. Again, I'm taking the y and the y here, and I'm finding the change, and that's subtraction. 0 minus 4 over 3 minus 0. 0 minus 4 is -4, and 3 minus 0 is 3. Do you see how we have a constant rate of change? And that's another name for slope. Another name is constant of proportionality. There's a lot of names for slope. So the slope here is -4/3. Yet another way to look at this is to just count rise over run. So from here to here, I rise 1, 2, 3, 4. I run to the left, which is -1, 2, 3. So my rise was +4 and my run was a -3. Is that the same? Let's look. -4/3, is it the same as 4 over -3? Absolutely. So my m equals -4/3. With all that being said, I need to write an equation in slope-intercept form. We have y equals, what's my m? -4/3 x, and my y-intercept is a +4. This is my answer for number 16. All right, good luck to you.